Ella, 34 years old, drove quietly toward her sister Laura's big house in Connecticut for Thanksgiving. 2 years had passed since her whole family gathered, and she told herself this visit would be full of warm hugs and real conversations. She had changed a lot, lost weight, gained confidence, and built something powerful in secret. Her niece Lily once called her the best aunt ever, and Ella hoped that bond still remained. She carried hope in her chest, whispering, "Maybe this time they'll see me." But she had no idea that the night ahead would test her heart more than any year before. Her old Honda rolled into Laura's long driveway, surrounded by bright luxury cars shining under the porch lights. Jake's Tesla sat proudly in the center, and her parents' Lexus sparkled beside it. Ella stepped out holding the apple pie she baked from her grandmother's recipe. "Let this be peaceful," she murmured. Before she could knock, Laura opened the door wearing a designer dress. Her eyes swept over Ella's simple sweater and jeans. "Still doing the budget shopping look?" Laura said with a thin smile. Ella forced warmth in her voice. "Happy Thanksgiving, Laura." But the doorway already felt colder than the November air. Inside, the greetings felt stiff and distant. Ella's mother, Carol, hurried over with worried eyes. "Ella, you look thinner. Are you eating well? Still single?" Her father, Robert, barely looked up from his talk with Ben. When he finally acknowledged her, he asked, "Still doing that online writing thing? When will you get a real career?" Ella swallowed her disappointment and answered gently, "It's actually going great. We closed a big partnership." Jake laughed from across the room. "A partnership? With who? Another blogger?" Everyone chuckled. Ella placed her pie on the counter and whispered to herself, "Just breathe, Ella." The dining room looked stunning, with glowing candles and crystal glasses that sparkled like tiny stars. But the seating arrangement revealed everything Ella needed to know. Laura and Ben sat at the table's head. Jake and Amy took the seats of honor, with her parents beside them. Ella was placed alone at the end near the kitchen door. Once dinner began, Jake raised his glass proudly. "Closed another huge deal, 10 million this week." Amy added quickly, "And I sold a $3 million home yesterday." Laura, not to be outdone, smiled. "I was promoted. I now oversee a $50 million budget." Ella finally spoke softly. "My company reached a big milestone too. We're now working with several large firms." Jake waved dismissively. "Writing online newsletters isn't working with large firms, Ella. Come on." The table burst into laughter. Even Lily smirked from her seat beside Laura. The turkey tasted perfect, but Ella felt each bite drag down her throat with sadness. When dessert arrived, she served her homemade pie proudly. Ben took a bite and said, "Well, Ella might not have a real career, but she makes a decent pie." Ella froze for a second. Decent. That was all her pie deserved. Lily, who had been on her phone most of dinner, suddenly stood up with excitement. "This is perfect for my TikTok series," she said, lifting her phone to record. Laura laughed proudly. "Go ahead, sweetheart. Show everyone the family." Lily pointed her camera around the table. "Here's the power couple, Mom and Dad. The Wall Street star, Uncle Jake. The real estate queen, Aunt Amy. The wise grandparents." Then she turned the camera to Ella. "And this is my Aunt Ella. She's kind of nobody. No real job. No house. Just trying to figure out life at 34. The room exploded with laughter. Laura was laughing so hard that she wiped tears from her eyes. "Lily, that's mean, but honestly hilarious." Jake raised his glass. "Someone has to be the example of what happens when you don't push yourself. Ella's doing a great job." Amy nodded quickly. "Kids should see what lack of ambition looks like." Robert added sharply, "Maybe this will be the motivation Ella needs to do something meaningful." Carol sighed loudly. "She's just a late bloomer, a very late one." Lily proudly read comments from her followers. "Look, Aunt Ella. They're saying every family has a person like you." Ben leaned back and said, "Laura, maybe Ella can babysit the kids sometimes. She clearly has plenty of free time." Laura's eyes lit up. That's actually a good idea. Ella, it would give you extra income, right? Your old Honda outside. It must be 10 years old. Jake laughed loudly. We should have an intervention for her. Family meeting. Help her fix her life. Amy clapped her hands. Yes, I can get her a receptionist job. Entry level, but at least it's a real job. Ella sat silently, her hands trembling under the table, desperately holding in her frustration. None of them knew the truth. None knew her little writing thing had grown into Vision Flow Media, a digital empire with 200 employees. None knew her company made over $50 million this year, or that she quietly owned multiple smaller firms. They didn't know she had a Bentley waiting in her Manhattan garage. Lily's phone pinged non-stop. The TikTok was going viral. Aunt Ella, you're famous. Lily laughed. Well, infamous. Ella stared at her water glass, hearing Carol say, Not everyone can be successful. Society needs regular people too. The words pierced deeper than she expected. Laura stood and began clearing plates, taking Ella's last. Come help me in the kitchen, she said, her voice sharp. Inside, away from the others, Laura dropped her sweet act. Ella, it must be hard watching all of us succeed while you drift, she said, handing her dishes like she was staff. You made choices. You chose dreams instead of stability. You wasted your potential. Ella dried a plate slowly, keeping her voice steady. Laura continued. I could have given you a real job, but you're too proud to ask. And now look, 34, broke and mocked by a teenager. Back in the dining room, the conversation shifted to winter vacations. Jake bragged loudly. Amy and I are heading to Aspen for 2 weeks. First-class flights, of course. Amy added. We got a private cabin this time. Real luxury. Laura smiled proudly. Ben and I are going to Tuscany. It's been a long year, and we deserve a break. Robert announced. Your mother and I will be taking that Alaska cruise we always dreamed about. Yet not one of them asked Ella about her plans. They didn't even consider that she could afford plans. To them, she belonged at the bottom. When it was time to discuss sleeping arrangements, Laura clasped her hands together. Mom and Dad, you get the master suite, she said warmly. Jake and Amy, you two get the blue room. She turned to Ella without hesitation. And Ella, the couch in the den pulls out. Hope that's okay. All the real guest rooms are taken. Jake snorted. Hey, at least she gets a place to sleep. Better than nothing. Lily whispered loudly. Maybe she prefers the couch. It fits her vibe. Laughter rippled through the room. Ella forced a small nod. The couch is fine. Before heading to bed, Jake pulled out his phone. Look at this, he said proudly, showing his investment portfolio. Just crossed $2 million in personal assets. Amy lifted her wrist. Ben bought me this bracelet for closing the Morrison deal. $20,000. Laura tapped her wine glass. Oh, and Lily got accepted into a leadership program at an Ivy League school. Robert looked at Ella pointedly. See, hard work pays off. Success breeds more success. Ella swallowed and whispered. I'm happy for everyone. But not one person asked what she achieved. They had already decided she had nothing. Later, lying in the den on the thin pull-out couch, Ella stared at the ceiling. The springs dug sharply into her back, but the silence hurt more. Upstairs, she could hear faint footsteps and muffled conversations. She imagined her parents discussing their concerns about her. She imagined Jake and Amy laughing about the TikTok. She imagined Laura planning more ways to help her fix her life. Ella pulled out her phone and opened her banking app. The numbers glowed back at her. $23 million in liquid cash, $30 million in company valuation, and $12 million in real estate holdings. Her phone buzzed with messages from her real world. Her CFO, James, had written, "Everything is ready for tomorrow's data flow announcement. Are you sure about revealing your name?" Her attorney had sent another message. Forbes article scheduled for Monday. They're calling you the stealth CEO. Ella exhaled slowly. For 5 years she had built Vision Flow Media in silence while her family assumed she was failing. She remembered losing her marketing job in 2019, the same week her fiancé left her. She remembered starting freelance writing just to survive. She remembered every night she cried but kept building anyway. Ella opened her laptop and logged into the company portal. Faces of her 200 employees filled the screen. People who believed in her, trusted her, and built the empire beside her. Tomorrow their stock options would make many of them wealthy. She clicked to the data flow acquisition documents, reviewing every detail. Ben's law firm had been counting on Dataflow's merger, one that would earn them millions. What they didn't know was that Ella had quietly bought enough shares to become the majority shareholder. Tomorrow, instead of merging, Dataflow would be absorbed into Vision Flow Media, and Ben's firm would lose everything. Ella heard quiet voices from upstairs, Laura and Ben in their bedroom. Their words drifted through the thin floor. "We need to do something about Ella," Laura said. "She's embarrassing. People ask me about her life and I make excuses. Maybe we should hold a family meeting, try to fix her situation." Ben agreed. Something must be wrong with her. No one her age should be this lost. Ella closed her laptop softly. She almost laughed at their confidence. They had no idea the woman they pitied held the future of their careers in her hands. Her phone buzzed again. A message from her publicist, Sarah. "Ready for the launch whenever you say the word." Ella typed back, "Move everything up." "Release at 7 a.m. Sarah replied instantly. "All of it? The acquisition, your identity, the magazine features." Ella typed one word, "Yes." She scheduled emails to send automatically. One would notify Laura's company that Vision Flow Media would be competing for their biggest contract. Another would inform Jake's firm that their relationship with Dataflow was terminated, effective immediately. She looked at the time, 2 a.m. She whispered, "They wanted somebody. They'll meet her tomorrow." Ella finally dozed off, exhaustion pulling her into a restless sleep. At dawn, voices erupted upstairs. Ben's voice turned from sleepy to panicked. "What do you mean Dataflow has been acquired? That's impossible." Laura shrieked loudly. "Who is the CEO? That can't be right." "Ella who?" Jake yelled from another room. "The stock is up 40%. Do you know what that does to my clients?" Robert shouted from the hallway. "Linda, the neighbors are texting me. Something about Ella being in the Wall Street Journal." Ella lay quietly on the pull-out couch, stretching calmly. She rose slowly, brushed her hair, and walked into the kitchen as the chaos grew louder. Jake was pacing with his laptop. "Ella bought Dataflow shares for 6 months. My predictions are ruined." Laura rushed in, waving her phone. "Vision Flow Media. Competing with my agency. Ella, what have you done?" Ben appeared next, pale and sweating. "Do you understand my firm could lose its biggest client because of you?" Lily stumbled down the stairs, crying. "Aunt Ella. My video. Everyone is calling me stupid. Please tell them we're okay." Ella poured herself coffee and whispered, "Good morning." Laura planted herself in front of Ella, her voice shaking. "You can't do this, Ella. You should have told us." Ella raised an eyebrow slowly. "Told you what, Laura? That the nobody you mocked built something real." Ben grabbed his phone. "My partners want me on an emergency call now. Dataflow was 20% of our revenue." Jake slammed his laptop shut. "My clients are furious. Ella, you ruined everything." Lily clutched her phone with trembling hands. "Aunt Ella. Please delete the video. Please. People are calling me the dumb niece who mocked a millionaire." Amy hurried into the kitchen next, panic flooding her eyes. "3 of my clients already texted me. They want to work with you instead. They said if I didn't even know my own sister-in-law's success, how can I know the market? Ella, help me fix this." Robert and Carol entered slowly, their faces pale. Carol whispered, "Ella, the neighbor sent an article. Says you paid off our mortgage last year. We thought that money came from Aunt Ruth's inheritance." Robert swallowed. It also says you were featured in magazines. And now, Forbes. The room went silent. Ella set her coffee down gently and looked at each of them. Laura was trembling. Jake was sweating. Ben was pacing. Amy was near tears. Lily was shaking. Carol and Robert looked like they'd seen a ghost. Laura finally spoke, trying to regain control. Why didn't you tell us, Ella? Or family? We deserved to know. Ella laughed softly. You deserved to know. Yesterday you laughed at me. You mocked me. You called me a charity case. You made me sleep on a couch while you bragged about your success. Her voice remained calm, but her words hit like lightning. Jake stepped forward defensive. This is unethical, Ella. You should have disclosed this information. I would have invested differently. Ella stared at him. Did I tell you to advise your clients wrongly? Did I tell you to assume I was worthless? Did I tell you to laugh when a teenager humiliated me online? Jake's jaw tightened, but he had no answer. Amy wiped her eyes. Ella, I didn't mean what I said. I was just going along with everyone else. Ella responded calmly. But you meant it. You meant all of it. You just didn't know who you were talking about. Carol stepped closer, voice trembling. Ella, sweetheart, we're sorry. We didn't mean to hurt you. We were just worried. Ella raised her phone and showed screenshots. The family group chat mocking her. Messages calling her a disappointment. Laura texting Jake that Ella was the embarrassing sibling. She said quietly, worried people don't laugh at you. Worried people don't plan interventions about your life. Worried people don't call their own daughter a lost cause. Carol covered her mouth in shame. Robert lowered his head, unable to meet Ella's eyes. Ben's phone rang again. He answered shakily. Yes, I'm here. No, I didn't know. My sister-in-law. Her company bought Dataflow. His face drained of color. They're questioning my position. No, wait, listen. The call ended abruptly. Ben turned to Ella, desperation in his eyes. Please, Ella. Please. Just say you didn't do this on purpose. Ella shook her head. I didn't sabotage anything. I made business decisions. You assumed I was beneath you. That's not my fault. Laura grabbed Ella's arm. Please don't compete for the Richardson contract. I need that contract to keep my promotion. Ella removed Laura's hand gently. Your company will receive a fair bid. That's business. Laura's face twisted with panic. You said you couldn't compete in the real business world, remember? Ella replied softly. Let's find out. Amy approached with shaking hands. Ella, maybe Vision Flow needs a real estate division. I could run it. Ella stared at her. Yesterday you said I was an example of what happens when someone has no ambition. Now you want to work for me. Amy looked down, tears filling her eyes. I was wrong. Please. Don't let this ruin me. Jake stormed forward again, his pride bruised. My managing director wants answers. He's asking if I have insider information about your next moves. Ella, just tell me something. Anything. Ella zipped her overnight bag calmly. I owe you nothing, Jake. You laughed when Lily called me nobody. You suggested a family intervention. Jake's face turned red. I didn't know who you were. Ella shook her head. Exactly. Because you never asked. Lily stepped forward, tears streaming. Aunt Ella. Please forgive me. My college counselor saw the video. They said it might hurt my applications. Ella looked at the teenager who once told her she wanted to be just like her. She spoke gently but firmly. Lily, you're old enough to understand consequences. You chose to humiliate me for likes. You chose to call me nothing. You posted it to millions. Now you're learning that words have weight. Lily cried harder. Please. Just tell people we're okay. Ella shook her head. Healing takes time. Respect takes longer. Carol tried again. Ella, please. Or family. Doesn't that mean something? Ella lifted her phone and showed them the foundation she launched that morning. $10 million for overlooked entrepreneurs. Ella said softly. Family means showing up when someone has nothing, not only when they have everything. Robert took a step toward her. We made mistakes, Ella. But don't cut us off. We can learn. Ella opened another screen showing upcoming interviews with Business Today, Time Magazine, and Harvard Business School. You had 5 years to see me, she said. 5 years while I built all this. But you were so sure I was a failure you never asked. Laura's phone buzzed again. Another emergency meeting invitation. They're reviewing my promotion, she whispered. Ella, please help me. Ella picked up her bag. Ella walked toward the door, but the family rushed after her. Ben blocked the hallway, panic tightening his face. Ella, please. My job is on the line. I could lose my partnership. Amy clutched her chest. And I could lose all my clients. I didn't mean anything I said last night. Jake stepped in beside them. Just give us one chance. One chance to fix this. Ella paused, her voice steady. Last night, you all showed who you are when you think someone is beneath you. That truth doesn't disappear in the morning just because the spotlight shifted. Lily stepped forward again, her eyes swollen from crying. Aunt Ella, I'm so sorry. I thought it was funny. I didn't know it would hurt you like that. Ella looked at her gently. Lily, the world is bigger than likes and comments. Bigger than jokes at someone's expense. One day, you'll understand the power your words carry. Laura tried to rush in. We will all change, Ella. We'll do better. Just tell everyone we're okay. Ella shook her head softly. Healing doesn't come because you fear consequences. Comes when your heart changes. I don't see that yet. Robert stepped closer. His voice unexpectedly soft. Ella, I read your grandmother's journal last night. The one you gave us. I didn't know she had dreams like yours. I didn't know she wanted to start a business but couldn't. Tears gathered in his eyes. Maybe I failed you by thinking only one type of success mattered. Carol touched Ella's arm gently. We want a chance to rebuild. Not for your money. Not for your success. Because we finally see the daughter we should have supported all along. Ella's eyes softened, but she stayed silent, waiting for sincerity, not fear. Ella lifted her bag onto her shoulder. I'm not cutting you off, she said peacefully. But I am stepping away. I need space to heal. You need space to understand yourselves. Laura panicked. Space. Ella, please don't go. Thanksgiving isn't supposed to end like this. Ella smiled sadly. Thanksgiving already ended last night, Laura. When you decided I was worth less than the chair you placed me in. Ben whispered. We didn't know, Ella. She turned to him gently. You didn't want to know. That's the real problem. The house fell silent as her truth settled into the room. A black car pulled into the driveway. Ella's actual driver. He stepped out and opened the door with quiet respect. The family stared at the luxury vehicle, realizing it had been hidden in plain sight by Ella's humility. Laura whispered, Ella, that's your car? Ella nodded. Yes, but it's not important. What matters is how you treated me when you thought I had nothing. Jake touched the doorway for balance. We judged you. Amy added. We mocked you. Lily cried. We hurt you. Ella inhaled slowly. And now you get to live with the consequences of your choices. Ella stepped outside, but Laura followed. Ella, wait. Just tell me one thing. Would you have helped us if we had treated you differently? Ella paused at the bottom of the steps. Yes, she said honestly. If you had shown basic respect, I would have supported all of you. Ben's firm would still have data flow. Your agency wouldn't be competing with mine. Jake wouldn't be losing clients. Amy wouldn't be questioned. Lily wouldn't be embarrassed. You would have gained everything. But you chose cruelty over kindness. And kindness can't grow in a place like that. Laura's tears fell silently. Ella entered the car, but before it moved, she lowered the window and looked at Lily. Learn from this, she said softly. Not because of what you lost, but because of who you could become. Lily nodded through tears. I will, Aunt Ella. I promise. Ella gave her a small smile. Good. Then maybe this pain won't be wasted. Robert stepped forward. Ella, please call us when you're ready. She nodded gently. I will. But not today. The engine hummed to life, and the family watched helplessly as the car began to roll down the driveway. As the car reached the end of the street, Ella looked back for one final moment. Her family stood clustered in the doorway, no longer proud, no longer arrogant, no longer laughing. They looked small, humbled, forced to confront their own behavior. Ella turned her gaze forward. Her phone buzzed with messages from her team, reminding her of her next meeting. She felt relief washing over her. Not vengeance, not triumph, just peace. She whispered to herself, I finally chose me. For the first time in years, she felt free. Free from their expectations, their judgment, and their narrow version of success. Hours later, Ella sat in her bright Manhattan office, looking over the city skyline. Her team welcomed her with smiles, not because of her wealth, but because of her leadership and kindness. These were her real family, the people who believed in her when she had nothing but ambition. James entered. Everything went smoothly this morning, he said. Ella nodded. Good. The world knows now. He hesitated. Are you okay? Ella smiled softly. Yes, I'm more than okay. I finally let go of needing their approval. I finally understand my value. She felt a weight lifting from her heart. That evening, Ella wrote in her journal, something she hadn't done in months. Being called a nobody doesn't make you one, she wrote. Sometimes it's the push you need to become who you were meant to be. She closed the book and looked out at the glowing city. Her story didn't end with revenge. It ended with clarity. She didn't win because her family fell. She won because she stood up. She discovered that respect built on truth lasts longer than validation built on fear. Ella whispered, I'm somebody. And this time she believed it. Deeply, fully, without needing anyone else to confirm it.